Welcome to the Ordered Life podcast.
So the World Cup is on, and I am a big fan, and I would be watching all of it, except my son, who has been a big soccer player. He took the year off, and it was quite nice not having him play soccer several times a week. And there was no talk of signing him up next year coming from him, and I didn't want to push it. So I was thinking, I don't really want to turn the World Cup on and, reignite this desire from him to play. It's kind of like playing with fire.
Yeah.
So I kind of broke down. I really want to watch it. And I said to him, hey, Ambrose, should we watch the World Cup? And without missing a beat, first thing out of his mouth is, I want to play soccer next year.
He got there fast.
He got there so fast, and I just thought, like, okay, you were like, it was in you. Yeah, okay, I'll sign you up. Whatever, we'll just deal with all of the scheduling pain and whatever. But so I've been watching every minute of it since, because I had no reason not to anymore. But it was just funny that on this thing I was worried about, like, came to fruition instantaneously.
He was probably waiting for you to ask him.
Yeah, I don't know if he was, like, he would have said it. I think it just is not something that crossed his mind, but like as soon as it came at all to the forefront, it was immediately, yeah, I want to play again.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I was opening and took it.
Exactly, yeah. So
Have you guys been to any of the public events related to World Cup and supporting the appropriate teams?
No.
Because I know in Langley, they have the soccer field there by LEC, Langley Event Center. And they've been hosting a bunch of games on the field on the big screen there.
no, I'd rather watch it at home.
Okay. How about you, Anthony?
No, I've had some friends who've gone. I definitely want to go to the fan zone by the peony. That looks pretty cool. Yeah.
How was it when you were downtown? I believe Canada and Switzerland were playing at that time.
It is cool being downtown in that environment. Even last night I was driving through and Morocco had just beat Netherlands in penalties. And yeah, some of the streets were, because they shut down certain streets, and you could see someone had like one of the, like the smoke things that went off that was red. And
Oh,
so it's
okay.
like half the streets like this. And it looks pretty cool.
That's neat.
Yeah.
Tell me, how does it work with supporting World Cup? Do you have your team, you only watch that team? Or it sounds like everyone watches every game, regardless of whoever's your team, if you support Canada alone. How does that all work? I'm just relating to like watching hockey.
Yeah.
You just watch your team. You don't really watch other games. Well, at least for me anyway.
I think most people watch most of the games.
Yeah.
You probably have several countries you like and cheer for, I'm assuming.
Yeah, but some of it's just quality soccer. Like the Netherlands-Morocco game yesterday was exceptional. It was intense. There were good scoring opportunities. Yeah, when you have good teams like that, it's just fun to watch. It's kind of like watching. It's kind of like playoff hockey in many ways. It's like you don't need to have your team in it to appreciate that. Like this is really, really good. Yeah,
And just the fact that it's once every 4 years, and that these aren't normal teams. Right, they come together just for these,
Like the elite
rare
of the
events.
elite coming together.
But I mean, like the elite, they play together in the Premier League and Champions League. You see that, but the composition of these teams only exist for this, right? The national teams, and so it's unique, and that makes it just that much more interesting. I think.
Very cool.
And of course, country versus country is just innately fun.
Yes. I think that's universal regardless of sport.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right. Shall we get into our topic for today?
Let's do it.
All right. So we are going back to Mensuram Bonam. I mean, I think depending on how we end up releasing these, like 2, maybe even 3 months. No,
Which one?
probably 2
How many
months.
parts do we have so far? I want to say we have 4 parts
I think
so
we have
far.
4 parts. So
Okay.
far. So this is gonna be the 5th part. We're gonna be revisiting the different, what do you call these, principles that we use with Catholic social teaching to look at investments in companies and even within our own business, like how we should be trying to run it. And these principles are, today that we're going to cover, are social justice, subsidiarity, and care for our common home. AJ, you have thoughts?
Oh my goodness. You're starting off with me. Oh my goodness. I had to review those 3 particular points as well. I'm going to bring it up.
Here, I have a thought on social justice while you spool up your brain, AJ.
Thank you.
Okay, so social justice is the first one we're going to talk about, and so the word social justice, I think, comes with a lot of negative connotations.
Yeah, it's been very politically charged.
Right.
But, yeah.
Yeah,
Social
that's
justice
right.
warriors and that kind of thing. But that's not at all, I think, what it's talking about,
Yeah.
that cultural view of social justice. It's talking about, I think, my understanding, because the text is dense, is that we need to think of business principles that go beyond just like contractual obligations.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the idea of ethics, like what is right and wrong more than just the letter of the law or obligation. And it made me think of the 1990s movie Wall Street. I assume you guys have seen it.
Mm-hmm. The original with like
The original,
Michael Douglas?
yes,
Okay.
yes. And the idea is, and this is true, like it reflects things that did happen in corporate culture, is that you would have these guys come in and there'd be some business that is, trading below book value, tangible book value. And so you could buy the business, fire everyone, sell the assets at a profit.
Yeah.
And it was like the most ruthless, cutthroat thing you could do to a company and all the people that were like associated with it. But it was totally legal and allowed, but such an injustice to everyone in that business. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do something. And so I kind of made me, this idea of social justice brought up this, these behaviors that we can do that are very wrong, even though they're not illegal or you're not doing anything technically wrong.
There's elements of like that culture of sharks eating one another for the sake of profit, where there's no feelings, it's just business, and whatever drives profit takes precedence in those examples. And like a lot of those movie examples of Wall Street was depicted in a very similar way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's that caricature of the evil corporate CEO. It's also, I think there's this false argument, like political argument, that you either are someone who supports like socialism and communism on the left, or you're just this hyper capitalist on the right, and it's always free markets all the time. And there's a happy middle ground where like unbridled capitalism does not always lead to a good place.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's what I really read, especially in the second part of the paragraph when it talks about it. And in my notes, I wrote, like, there's this call for a unity of life, that you can't just say, I'm going to act this way in business dealings, and I want to then go and do this in philanthropy, and I'm going to do this with my relationships, and I'm going to have all these different hats on and be all these different people and have a different set of morals in each of these things. Like, I'm going to say that giving stuff away is good, but the stuff that I'm giving away came at the cost of however many jobs or extra profit and efficiency and that sort of thing. And yeah, like to your point, like, yeah, we need morals beyond just strict laws. We can't just say, oh, everyone's going to act in their own best interest, and that's going to somehow produce the greatest good for everybody, because we can't renounce our moral agency. If we're aware that we can do something good, then we're obliged to do that good. On that, I actually had a bit of an idea, because obviously in ethics, everyone talks about the golden rule of treat others the way you want to be treated. And I disagree with it, but I'm going to ask you guys if you think that's a good rule of thumb for ethics and dealing with, social justice, as is like need for unity of life to, act well beyond just what you're contractually obliged to do. But so what guiding principle do you guys think is best for that?
I like the rule of thumb is, whatever decision you're going to make or whatever action you're taking, would you be okay telling your mother about it?
Yeah.
Or would you still do this if you were being watched by everyone whose opinion you respect? Would you still do this? Would you still do this? Would you still make that decision? Would you still be proud of that action?
Yeah, the mother rule is usually a good guidance, because you're thinking beyond yourself and someone who's provided for you in that way. So it kind of draws that sense of greater good for people that you love. But the challenge I have with do unto others as others would do unto you, is that what?
Yeah.
I think everyone ideally would have this common foundation as to which their guiding principles come from. And we're in a very individualistic society. So, I mean, what one from their own perspective thinks is doing good for the other may have so much variance just because of the element of competing individualistic desires
Yeah.
and perception.
Yeah.
Is that where it kind of?
Yeah, that is exactly the point that I was going to get at. I think the golden rule is almost like the golden calf of ethics. I'm going to restate that so I can plug it in better.
Unpack it.
Yeah, no, I think So I think the golden rule of ethics is like the golden calf of worship, because you're taking an idea or something that is good, but you're taking it out of context and you're distorting it. And I think, Sean, your point about, do I want my mother to know this? And AJ, your point of, we need something common that everyone is shooting for. The context of the golden rule is someone asks Jesus, what is the greatest command? And he says the greatest command is to love the Lord with all your heart, with all your strength, and with all your soul. And then to love your neighbor as yourself. Right? So that context is first to appeal to the greatest possible good, because by goodness we mean God himself, as Thomas Aquinas would say. And then in that light, to then use the golden rule as a way of understanding, okay, if God exists and I have dignity, right, and that's the first Catholic social teaching principle here, is that the human person has dignity, and that we're all called to foster the common good and human flourishing. Then how am I supposed to want to be treated as a result of that? And how am I supposed to treat others? Because simply saying treat others the way you want to be treated is, well, like, I'm totally happy to be ripped off. I'm not ripped off, but it's like, I'm aware that I could be ripped off. So I'm going to try and squeeze as much out of a contract, or I'm going to try and cheat my contract as much as possible, because I have faith that other people are going to be doing the exact same thing. So I actually think that the golden rule does kind of create an idol of a bad axiom or a bad principle if you don't put it in the context of a higher moral order that we're all called to, or in this case, like just the fact that each person has dignity, right, and that you yourself have dignity, and that you do not deserve to be ripped off, right? So that's not a axiom that you should be acting off of, like, oh, this person's going to rip me off, so I should try and rip them off. It's like that's a golden rule, right? Treat others the way you want to be treated, but that's totally out of context, right? That's incompatible with your humanity and your dignity.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, foregoing the initial assumption that there's an objective truth and we should be striving towards it. I think you're right. Yeah.
Any other thoughts on the common good? Or no, sorry, social justice before we move on to
Solidarity.
Subsidiarity. Yes. Sean, you have thoughts?
I only underline one thing in this paragraph. AJ, you start.
Okay, I did highlight something in this particular paragraph. That's more quoting the scripture, more specifically in the book of Genesis. More specifically,
how many times can you say more specifically in one sentence?
My apologies. It's my filler word. Entrusted by God with these blessings, Adam and Eve had to work the earth to produce the necessities of their lives while protecting the predictive capacity of the earth to serve future generations.
You are not in Subsidiarity.
That's called the character coming home.
I know, man.
Never mind. Edit that out.
Too specific.
Yep.
Edit that out.
Specifically the next topic that we're talking about. Okay, subsidiarity. So the simple definition of it is that you want to give the lowest possible competent authority the ability to make a decision, which it says is not mere delegation, but legitimate, what would you call it?
Responsibility?
Yeah, responsibility. And like, it's not as though I'm saying, hey, you do this and then report back to me.
Authority.
Authority, yeah. You're giving that person legitimate authority. So you're not trying to necessarily continue in a vertical hierarchical structure, but it's actually, the goal of it actually says that, this is the first time that I understood that, was that you're trying to make it much more horizontal, which I found very interesting. Of like, almost, you're giving this person authority to the point that you recognize that you're equal in a certain sense of hierarchy, which I thought was very cool. And so it's like this two-way street of leadership where people who are higher up give the people who are lower down authority, and those people who are lower down like justly recognize, hey, I actually know more than this person who's above me, and I need to.
Yeah, and it's not that I know more. It's not that anyone has to be smarter or anything.
Yeah.
It's that person is more familiar with this particular situation.
Yeah.
and this context than anyone higher up could ever be because they're not there.
Yeah.
And therefore, decisions should be made at. Decisions are most optimal when they're made at the lowest level, when the people making decisions are closest to whatever is being decided around.
Yeah, and most informed. So yeah, I like it, and I think it's definitely one of the easiest principles to kind of go by.
One of the topics brought up was that the element of delegation.
Yeah.
And I think if you think of delegation, yes, I recognize this problem. I'm delegating to this more authoritative body. Therefore, I brush off any sort of responsibility, and it's the other people's problem. Where the element of what you guys are bringing up is in which it should be a shared responsibility that everyone can take part in assisting.
Yeah.
I like the line where it says, people deserve the dignity of being protagonists of their own growth and well-being. But people deserve to be the hero in their own stories. How I read that.
Yeah.
I think it's a great way to think about it.
Yeah, who doesn't want to be a hero?
Yeah, but it's interesting.
The champion of good.
Yeah, but it's like I think some people actually don't. Like they just kind of want to be told, do this, do that. I'll let this person take responsibility for my actions.
Well, then they also want to belong to a championship team. Then
partly, but I think there can be a temptation to give up responsibility, legitimate responsibility for things you need to be doing for lower goods. It's like comfort, right? Like it's a lot easier. Well, not necessarily, but I can see a situation where a person doesn't want to discipline their child, right? And instead they'll let their child misbehave at school, right? It's like, I'll let the teacher deal with it. When no, it's like in reality, like you are the parent, right? You can't let these bad habits at home just become the teacher's problem when the child gets to school. Same thing with like spending money well, right? Within a family, it's like, we want all these things from government, but who knows how to spend your money better than Sean, is your point? Like, who knows how to spend your money for your family better than you? How does somebody in Ottawa know how to spend your money better than you, who is with your kids today? I think those are some examples that I think you see a lot in society. People not recognize the importance of the small acts of subsidiarity that they can take on.
In the investment process, how do we think about it when we're looking at companies?
I mean, some companies it's easier than others. Like some companies are like, we fully let our teams just go and have a bunch of autonomy. We give them the support they need, but they work on things. Like I'm thinking of one software company that we looked at a little while back. I don't think we can say actual names on the podcast just for compliance purposes, but
I mean, we can't recommend anything. I think we could talk about companies as examples of these traits.
So when we were looking at like Constellation Software Services, as far as we understand it, they buy up niche software providers that provide very specialized software
products,
solutions. And they say, hey, you guys know your product, you guys know your market, keep on doing that. We're just going to give you back-end support with whatever you need. And so I think that's like a great example of subsidiarity, of saying, you guys take this on, we are here to support you in whatever way. We can give you some back-end systems, whatever, help with organizational structure if you need it. But it's not as though they're going to say, this is exactly how things are done. This person's going to report to that person. Company culture, I think, would probably be a good measure of subsidiarity as well. Like how much do people actually buy into that and understand that? I feel like you have more thoughts, though.
Oh, I have one in terms of companies that enable subsidiarity. Yeah. So in particular, I think of one that comes to mind, and this is not a recommendation, just an example, is a company like Shopify, which enables small businesses to do well and enables them to compete against large businesses, because like Shopify takes care of all like the back office stuff, like the payments, the shipping, all of, like the invoicing, all the things that you need teams of people for, you would otherwise with the help of technology, and allows one person to compete against bigger stores. I think that's an example that comes to mind about a company that is not necessarily living it out themselves, and they might, I don't know.
Yeah, but enabling
it in the world.
Yeah. I guess like private wealth then would be another example of that.
Shout out to the Real Overlords.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, because it's like they provide the back office support, but they give us complete autonomy to be able to make whatever recommendations and run our practice however we want.
Yeah, to use our professional judgment as we think best, without that top-down directive and control. Yeah, that's another good example.
Yeah, the enablement for individuals to do good work.
Yeah.
and the platform to do it.
Yeah.
What's next, Anthony?
The last one that we are covering today is care for a common home.
What are your thoughts, Anthony?
All right, there we go. Yeah, no, I mean, like care for a common home. I think this can definitely get misused, right? It can be very politicized to say that, oh, we have to like worship, not only worship, but not extract resources. And I think what care for the common home really says is, okay, the earth is made up of all these living things, and what is it like? Habitats, environments. Is it called ecologies? Yeah, like life environments are meant to support life, and so if we're going to work ourselves into that and do resource extraction, our end should also be to support life, right? Like again, going back to Genesis, God commanded us to be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and subdue it. We're given dominion over it. To what? Not just to extract and to take, but fundamentally to enable and to give better lives. So we should not be taking from the earth at the cost of other human life. Like our greed should not result in somebody else's deficit, because it's not necessarily net zero, right? But it can be close to that. And so if you're going to completely destroy an environment, so that you can make whatever comfort or luxury good or have extra whatever food, and that's going to be at the cost of somebody else's well-being, well, you've distorted that. And so the big piece of the care for the common home here is like, to what end are you using resources? Is human flourishing the end of your use of resources? Yeah.
When it says protecting the productive capacity of the earth, I think is really integral to the idea of caring for a common home. Because one, it's very self-motivating, right? Like if you want to continue to extract things, you should do it in a way that enables future extraction to continue. Like if you come in and completely clear-cut an entire forest, you have a resource that's probably not coming back. Whereas if you do it carefully, it can be this resource that continues for generations and generations to come. But I like that the focus is not on, CO2, which I think is the red herring. The thing that's distracting from like the real issue.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate that a lot of the environmental stuff is mostly about CO2, because it takes away from what are, equally or more important concerns. Like, are you doing this and, you make a mess building a mine? Can you clean up the mess afterwards? Or can you do these things responsibly? Can you do these things well, as opposed to just, CO2?
Yeah. Well, and we've talked about it on the podcast before of just, are you not doing resource extraction because you somehow think that all resource extraction is bad? Even if that means not doing resource extraction at the cost of, well, now somebody else is supplying those resources, and those resources are being supplied from a third world country where human life is in no way, shape, or form respected. And you have child labor who are, children who are going into these mines getting killed at the cost of you in the first world being able to sit back in a nice comfy chair, enjoying your natural gas and smartphone, right, with all these complex rare minerals. I think that's a big one as well. Like to what end are you doing this? Are you doing this because you're prioritizing nature over humans, or are you doing it because it's actually legitimately good to not do this thing in that way?
I'm going to touch base on what Sean had mentioned, and also riff off what you're mentioning too, Anthony. So you had called out, like, say, for the extraction of resources or whatever, but there's an element of responsibility there too, not to just extract it for present day, but an element to keep in mind for longevity, for human flourishing, as you had mentioned, Anthony, for continuity of it also. It speaks of a sense of extraction for current needs, for present day human flourishing, but a consideration for future human flourishing. So an element of responsibility. So to keep in mind, there's a responsibility, a challenge, so to speak, to not only take what's necessary now. That's on a slight different tangent and a more humorous tangent. Were you a StarCraft Warcraft or a Warcraft player back in the day?
I played Warcraft. Yeah.
Okay. So I liken the example of, because in Warcraft or StarCraft, there's an extraction of resources to build whatever buildings. And then the challenge of the game is to either extract it as quickly relative to your partner to win the game, or create an element in which there's a longevity to doing the game. So just very similar is like if you extracted way too fast, not considering a longer term plan, you come to fail at that game. That's a slight tangent. How does that resonate with you in terms of your gameplay strategy for StarCraft, Warcraft back in the day?
Well, you had to do it as fast as possible. To build your army as fast as possible. Otherwise, you would get annihilated.
Right.
But it's not a good example for life because
yeah, that's right. Because we could treat it in that way, like a game is just like we extracted whatever the outcomes are the outcomes, but consideration for responsibilities, I guess, is what I'm speaking of. In this particular context, that's where the limitation of the analogy comes to its shortcomings.
yeah, it's not just limited. I think it's a bad analogy. But it's not like a do or die thing. Like,
Right.
It's not just about like crushing your enemies or competitors. Like, I mean, it'd be the equivalent of, a lumber company saying, we're going to clear cut this forest before any other lumber company can, so that we can, destroy them or whatever, which is not how real life works.
Yeah,
at all.
that's right. That's right.
And also in the game, like resources don't come back. You're not doing it for like multiple generations. Like it is use it and then it's gone.
Yeah, it's a finite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd say this analogy has zero applicability.
But it was fun though.
Yeah. I'm with it. I think while you were saying that, I had another idea, and it's kind of like bringing this idea of care for the common home in with social justice. It's obviously a big thing that's talked about in care for the common home is don't take more than you really need.
Yeah, and why not? Because it's unjust.
Yeah,
it's unjust to the future.
Exactly,
It's unjust to the community.
But then also just what do you need? Like you can go on Amazon, and I'm a little guilty of this as well.
I think we're all guilty of this, probably.
Well, like just like the little trinkets and things and like stuff, and like just how much obviously it's a very consumerist culture, but just the needs that we end up creating for ourselves. And you just think like, okay, our microphone stands here, right? This is a metal base with plastic and more metal and then little screws. And like, yeah, obviously it's a lot of like economic value. Like these things were produced and that helped give people jobs and all that sort of thing. But we're podcasting and so just have more and more needs. And so I think there's a bit of a call out to, well, like what is it that you want? Is it good to want that? Do you actually need that sort of thing? And then it's not just get things you end up throwing away. Like fast fashion, I think is a good example, but as well, just the number of little trinkets that can be got and discarded. Like there's no tomorrow, and just how much stuff gets produced. Like all of these things have to come from somewhere, right? Any bit of plastic, any bit of metal, any bit of timber, like all of that stuff has to come from somewhere. And so when it comes,
they also, and to totally cut you off,
yeah,
they also call out this idea. There is an idea that says like, oh, we should buy less, be less. Our culture is so consumerist, whatever. We should buy less and do more things, right? It's less about things you have and have more experiences.
Yeah.
But they totally call that out as well.
Yeah.
And they say you should consume less and think about having fewer personal experiences. Because I don't think people realize that those things are also resource intensive. For any kind of travel, you need more planes, you need more roads, you need more fuel, you need all those things. Like both of those things. So you're 100% right. To be content with the things we already have, and to not always be thinking about what we also need, but also to be content with where we are, to be content with our surroundings and the people that are around us, and not to always be seeking far-flung places and whatever it might be. Not to say like travel's bad, but I think there is a temptation to say, I'm just going to replace one for the other.
Yeah.
And it's that I think I'm being virtuous in doing it, and that's not necessarily true.
Yeah. No, I've noticed that recently with a bit of a bike thing that I've been on. Bike bend, I suppose you could say. So obviously, I've gotten rid of now 3 of the bikes we had at our house because all of them were too small. So sold them, which is great. We still have one more. But I've since bought a road bike because I wanted to get a bike for fitness, which is great. But then you realize, wait a minute, now I have to get the shoes. Right? So I didn't have to spend too much time looking at shoes because the guy who sold me the bike also had shoes. And I'm like, sweet, 2 for 1, they fit. I'm like, don't need anything more. But then I needed to get the bib shorts because you need the compression and it helps and it has the padding and the padding helps you like actually to ride for a long time. And then, well, I need somewhere to like put my phone and snacks, and so I need to get the jersey, and then I need a water bottle, and then I'm like you need to have all these extra little things.
You need a windswept aerodynamic helmet.
Yeah, exactly. It's like 'cause I was kind of thinking this. I'm like I don't like. Well, the way this started was actually I feel like I have less and less time. But then I realized, well, I'm like, wait a minute, but like there's also like more and more of these different things that I want to do that I just feel because there's almost like experience inflation that in order to live today we have to have these different sorts of experiences. We have to have hobbies. We have to have all that sort of thing. It's like 100 years ago, maybe you play soccer, right? That's a ball, a field, and a net. Now you play or you go for bike rides, and it's like, all right, I need to have a certain like electrolyte. I need to have certain foods. I need to have an app that tells me how much my average grade going up and down this hill is. I need to have these clip-in shoes, and I need to have like these, all sorts of different attire. And like, I mean, part of it's like what Rolando was saying when he was here, just, there's all this added complexity. But I think, Sean, to your point, like experiences also end up costing money, even if we're not going to say, oh, I want to buy these different things and have all this stuff. So I want to do these things. Well, yes, but the doing can also lead to just excess spending instead of
not even the spending, but like the consumption.
The
of
consumption of
things.
Yeah.
But I think there's that. So like I'm thinking of the cycling.
Yeah.
Like there's certain acceptable norms. If you're
Oh, yeah,
serious
no, definitely.
in this
Yeah.
particular hobby, then all these things need to take place relative to in the past. Maybe they didn't exist.
Yeah.
So I think it's the opportunity in which you could practice prudence and temperance as to what's actually necessary and what's excessive.
Yeah.
To stay closer honed in as to your current ability.
Yeah.
But also create opportunity in which, okay, maybe I can appreciate these enhancements later on as you excel in that particular hobby.
Yeah, for sure. And there's definitely ways that I'm like trying to like not spend as much. Used bike, used shoes, everything that I've bought has been on like sale, which has been awesome. But at the same time, it's just kind of like that mental exercise of thinking, okay, like why do I have so little time? It's like, well, because I have to find these different things for these different hobbies, and we have a weight room downstairs, and if you want to get into that, then it's like, all right, you have your rack, then you have your barbell, and you have to have a curly barbell so you can have bigger biceps, and then like you need to have this weight and that weight, and now this
You
like
need special flooring material.
exactly, yeah. It's like all these little things, and like at the end of the day, like these experiences, and like, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Like I love lifting. I think it's extremely good for me. And like my dad uses the gym more than I do, and he loves it. He's in great shape. My mom, my siblings, like all of them. It's great to have there, but it definitely does just add to the complexities of life, even though it's more of an experience.
Your home gym is probably the exception to the rule in that it gets a lot of use from a lot of different people.
No, I'm not saying like that there is like a rule that like we shouldn't be doing these things. It was just more like a mental exercise.
But it's a good example. It's a good example of like, okay, there is a common place you can go to exercise.
Yeah.
There are commercial gyms.
Yeah.
Or you can build yourself a home gym. And if everyone has a home gym, like the number of plates that need to be made, the number of barbells that need to be made, and that's not being used 98% of the time, right? Just the multiplier effect of all the things that need to be made so that like everyone could do that.
Yeah.
Is it's a good example of that kind of thing. Whereas opposed to like, oh, you could just, many fewer places could buy many fewer things, and everyone and you just get used continuously throughout the day.
Yeah.
Not to rag on the home gym. I totally wish I had one.
No, they're sweet. They are like, and it's like such a convenience thing too. But that's just been something that's been on my mind recently, and I think it ties well into social justice and care for our common home. Because we can think, things are going well. It's like, but like lifestyle inflation is just crazy in terms of what do we expect, and same thing with cost, right? It's like, life is so expensive. It's like, because like 60 years ago when people's like cost of living was just food in a house. Now you have cars and smartphones, and you have to eat out a certain number of nights a week, and your watch.
Do you?
Well, not really, but like some,
that last example.
Yeah. So some people expect it, right? And you have to have,
you're right.
You have to have a watch that does this one thing. You have to have all these different types of outfits. And then at your home, you have to have all these different appliances and that sort of thing. So it's like, I'd be curious to know who's done the research on those. I'd love to actually read a paper.
Speaking of everyone needing all sorts of appliances, we got rid of our microwave. We've been microwave-less for over a year.
So everything's warmed up on the stovetop
or in the oven.
oven.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
And it's so easy to live without a microwave.
Yeah.
Like you might think, oh man, I use it all the time. Like it's, I resisted it. And I think the reasons we got rid of the microwave were spurious, that it does weird things to your food or something. If Danielle is listening, I think you bought into the anti-microwave stuff. But like living with it's totally fine. And now the microwave, where the microwave lived, is filled with all the cookbooks, and it is way more useful to have that space doing that.
Yeah, that makes sense. That does make sense.
That's
All
it.
right. Yeah, I don't have anything else either.
I don't have anything.
Okay, that's it. I'm Sean.
I'm Anthony.
I'm AJ.
Thank you for listening.
This podcast has been prepared by Sean Gregory, who is a portfolio manager, AJ Sanson, and Anthony De Lazari, who are associate investment advisors for IA Private Wealth Inc. Opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the portfolio manager and investment advisors only, and do not necessarily reflect those of IA Private Wealth Inc. IA Private Wealth Inc. is a member of the Canadian Investor Protection Fund and the Canadian Investment Regulatory Organization. IA Private Wealth is a trademark and business name under which IA Private Wealth Inc. operates.